Hey, what's up guys? John here. On this video, I want to talk about why flipping houses is the worst thing that you could consider right now. I know there's so many people out there talking about flipping houses, making, a bajillion dollars and everything's so great. But I'm going to explain the real negatives to flipping houses and why most house flippers are about to lose their shirt. And this is what I see. If anyone disagrees, drop it in the comments below. So on this channel, we talk about all things personal finance, business, and money. So if that interests you, hit the subscribe button and let's begin. So now we're in this pandemic, right? And people think that everything is fine. Outside of the mask, everything is fine. The stock market's booming, real estate is booming, everything looks good. But that's just a complete lie. It is. 60 million people are scheduled to be evicted in the next 2 months. 60 million people. No one is talking about this, because it's not a pleasant conversation, I guess, for most people. 60 million. That's the size of California and Florida combined. Okay, forget that. Stock market, booming. Real estate, again, it's booming. And they think that this is just because we're in a healthy, good environment. No, it's because they keep printing money, because if they didn't, everyone else would panic and they wouldn't abide by these restrictions. And that's just the truth. I'm in LA right now. In 45 minutes, new restrictions come on for the second wave for LA. They're talking about a curfew as well. Seattle, Washington, Chicago, New York, New Jersey, Boston, all hit with new restrictions. And they're going to continue pushing these restrictions out. The second wave is going to decimate the economy, because ultimately they can't keep printing money at the same level. 22% of all dollars in America right now are printed in 2020. 22%, that's basically 1 in 4 dollars is printed just this year. This says something. This says that we're living a lie, and that's just the truth. And when we step into this new normal where lumber cost is 80% greater than what it was pre-lockdown, that's a problem. Lumber cost is a fifth of construction cost on a property. So if that went up 80% just on the first wave, the second wave it's going to do the same thing, mainly because lumber yards and mills are closed. So if that increases and that goes another 80%, so it's 160% above what it once was in April, and then on top of that, people are out of work and they're locked down and incomes are falling and taxes are increasing under Biden, minimum wages are increasing under Biden, and all these things change the landscape of investors and property investors, people that are buying properties either for themselves or rentals, but it's changing their perspective. And these are things we have to take into consideration. Nobody else is really talking about it. They think that 2021 is going to be a great thing. 2022, Dr. Fauci said that's when we're going to start returning to some level of normalcy. 2022, he didn't say, is it going to be January 1st, 2022 or December 31st, 2022? So we could be in this position for another 1.5 to 2 years. So this could be a really bad situation for us, but it's just fascinating to me how most people don't want to realize the true state of this world we're living in. For example, I go to Coffee Bean every single day in downtown LA. Well, I did, but they just closed that location among many other locations throughout LA. And the reason they're closing is because of these restrictions where people can't go into the store and eat and study and spend time there because of the new restrictions. They can't have people inside more than 5 or 6 people, but they have 3 or 4 or 5 employees in there, plus their fixed lease costs and utilities and all their expenses. Now you roll that out through the entire country, you start to see how many people are going to be let go from their jobs and how many landlords are going to lose their properties. It's going to go in great scale. This is going to trump 2008, and that is no doubt, 100%. Ray Dalio said the same thing, 1929, this is going to be greater than 1929, and that crash. In 2013, he owned the greatest hedge fund in the world, over $100 billion in assets. Bill Gates, all these people are saying the same thing. Warren Buffett's sitting on roughly $200 billion right now in cash through Berkshire Hathaway, which is 25% of his entire holdings is in cash. And if anyone studies Warren Buffett, they know his number 1 rule is don't lose money. Number 2 rule is don't forget rule number 1. He's losing about $3 billion a year just with inflation, but he knows it's better to lose that $3 billion than put it out to market today. That is something that we need to pay attention to. That's why these people that are flipping houses, things were probably great. They were probably making millions before, but they're not going to make millions in the future. That's for sure. They're going to lose millions, in my personal opinion, because in a dark recession, what happens? People don't have 2 years stable income to qualify for mortgage. They don't have the down payment. They don't have the credit. And if they did, they're not out there buying the brand new house. They're buying something that they can grow into, that's affordable, that's attainable. So if there's 5 homes on one street, one's a brand new flip, and the other 4 are in fair condition, but they're 30% less, the last house on the street to sell will be the flip. That is where I see things going. So that being said, when you're coming out with some type of strategy on how you're going to build wealth and what your game plan is, just factor in for big change coming. I really recommend that if you want to have an idea and a foresight into what's happening in the economy in the world, pay attention to history, pay attention to the numbers, look at the real facts, and really just get rid of your emotion and what you want things to be, and look at how things really are. Warren Buffett's business partner, Charlie Munger, said one really great quote that I'll never forget. And that quote is, "Smart people see things for how they are. Other people see things for how they want them to be." So with all that said, have a real good plan on what you're going to be doing, because I think the second wave is probably going to go until past April. So if that is the case, we still have a long ways to go. We're still really, as of like 2 weeks ago, we were still in the first wave. That's about 8 months. 8 months. This is supposed to be a 15-day shutdown. A 15-day shutdown. So if this goes out for until 2022 and stimulus starts cutting back and all these things start cutting back, it's going to open up a world of opportunity for investors. It really is. But the key is, are you going to have the cash and credit and plan and strategy in place to utilize that? Because if you don't, it's going to get much harder for you to go out there and invest in the future after that, because all the investors are going to run out there, acquire as many properties as they possibly can. I personally believe, Facebook and a lot of these tech companies will go to banks and private institutions, lending institutions, and say, hey, you have $5 billion in bad loans, we'll give you $3 billion. And they'll end up making a deal and just buying tons of land directly and seizing assets that way. Because for the lending institution, it actually makes a lot of sense, because they can save on realtor fees, carrying costs, all these costs. And they can just do one simple, clean transaction. And I believe that's going to be the future. So don't miss out on this upcoming crash. I believe it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And the last thing you want to do is try to do a get-rich-quick, try to do one deal and flip it and make this, massive profit. Because usually it just doesn't work out like that. It really doesn't. And if you show me a house flipper that's been in the business for 20 or 30 years, and that flipper said he never lost money, I'll show you a liar. Because they all do at some point in their career. And usually it's on the first deal or second deal is where they really start learning those hard lessons. And now's not the time to start those lessons. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see you in the video.